Right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Setting the Trend Straight. My name is Brittany, and I'm one of your Stop and Shop Nutrition Partners dietitians. For today's trend, we'll be taking a close-up on going green. You often see it on the news, social media, commercials, even on clothing lines, and more. And while tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day, and you might be going green to celebrate there, today we'll be sharing tips on how to go green in your kitchen all year long. Just a quick disclosure that the information presented today is for educational purposes only. I also just want to take a moment to highlight our Nutrition Partners program. We have a team of dietitians here to support your health goals through our complimentary services, such as our webinars. We're also available for one-on-one consultations in the states that we serve. And if you head to our website, stopandshop.com/nutrition, you can find a variety of resources from downloadable templates for grocery shopping to even some fun cooking videos and blog posts for recipe inspiration. So if you're interested in learning more, please head on over to our website. Today, we will cover what going green looks like. We'll include some tips for your shopping trips and kitchen prep. And along the way, I'll highlight some small steps that you can take that really have an impact at home and on the environment. I'll also leave time for any questions you may have at the end. For those questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat box or Q&A boxes found at the bottom of your screen. I'll keep my eye out in case any questions pop up that should be addressed right away, and otherwise, again, we'll save them towards the end of the class today. Please feel free to jot down a few notes or thoughts as we go. I will send out a class recap email by tomorrow with a few additional resources that support the topics that we chat about today. So if you miss anything along the way, it should be covered in that recap email as well. And lastly, we will have some polling questions just to make things a little bit more interactive. So in case you haven't done Zoom polls before, this is exactly what it will look like when one pops up on your screen. Simply select your best answer, hit submit, and then we'll review them all together. The answers are anonymous, so no pressure. Again, just a way to make this a little bit more engaging in this virtual world. Whoops, sorry there, my screen froze on me for a second. Now, before jumping ahead to some of those other slides, let's set the stage by discussing what going green means. So this is an approach to adopting a more environmentally friendly lifestyle with the goal of helping to conserve our natural resources, such as our trees, water, energy, and natural metals. Becoming aware of current habits and identifying those small steps that you can take can have an impact on the environment. So as you'll see today, going green really can be a gradual process as well, since there really are so many angles to take to living a more eco-friendly lifestyle. I encourage you to identify those areas where small tweaks make sense to you now, and you can always build on from there. Habits do not need to be overhauled overnight or all at once to start helping the environment. Some tips may even be those that you're already practicing, and others serve as reminders to add back into your routine. Let's take a close-up on how to start living a bit more green by focusing on tips for your shopping trips. First is to bring and use your reusable bags. This may be a simple suggestion, so use it as a reminder. You may intend to use them and often forget to actually bring them into the store. I have certainly been guilty of this on multiple occasions. I know that many people often keep those reusable bags in the trunk, so instead move them up front so that you actually see them and remember to bring them inside and use them. Next is to buy in bulk. While single-serve items are certainly convenient, cut back on packaging waste by buying in bulk and then portion out what you need on your own. There's an added benefit here too that buying in bulk can be more cost-effective than picking up those convenience items. The next two tips go hand in hand, so I'll kind of touch on them together. First is to choose whole foods more often over highly processed foods. This is not only good for your health, but also good for the environment. Along those lines would be to seek out foods that are in season and those that are local. By looking for seasonal produce, this can add variety to your meals, so you're not picking up the same vegetable for dinner throughout the year. And seasonal fruits and vegetables are more environmentally friendly, since they do not often have to travel as far to get to the store. Oftentimes, this makes them more affordable as well. So be sure to check the circular, as seasonal items are often on sale. We also have a tool to make eating seasonally easy. On the bottom image here, you see a snapshot of our Fresh Picks page, and that gives you some tips on what's in season and how to use that produce all year long. So right now we're wrapping up the great citrus from the winter season and looking ahead to spring and some of that warmer weather, things like asparagus, radishes, and soon enough berries will be in season. Another thing you can keep in mind with your shopping trips is to mix in some plant-based meals. Plant-based diets can be more environmentally sustainable than diets rich in animal products because they tend to use fewer natural resources. So adding plant-based recipes to your weekly meal rotations can have benefits for your health and the environment. If you are interested in learning a little bit more about plant-based eating and how to make some of those small swaps, we do have a separate webinar called Nutrition 101 Plant-Based Eating. And on the next few slides, I'll highlight some easy ways to find sustainable options at Stop and Shop. One area of particular interest when it comes to sustainability is seafood. And Stop and Shop makes it easy to feel confident in your seafood choices. Our seafood sourcing policy means that if a seafood product is sold at Stop and Shop, it was harvested in a manner that ensures its availability today and long into the future. So you can trust that the seafood products you're picking up are brought to you in a way that you can feel good about. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about the sustainability policy for seafood, you can find that on our website as well. Another unique tool to help with shopping and finding some more sustainable options is How Good. This is an easy to use environmental impact rating system that analyzes each ingredient against environmental and social criteria such as farming practices, treatment of animals, labor conditions, and chemical use. Any product with 1, 2, or 3 leaves is one of the most sustainable products on the market. So the more leaves a product has, the more sustainable it is, making it easy to make those informed choices. And this is actually available as a filter on the website as well. So you can adjust your search criteria to only pull those products that are rated with the How Good system. In addition to the items that you purchase, the way food is prepared and stored can certainly have an impact on the environment. There are several things you can focus on when you're back in that kitchen to help make your space a bit more green. So I'm going to share some tips for your appliances, cooking methods, food storage and waste, and recycling. Now, before diving into some of those tips, I am going to launch our first polling question. All right, so which uses less energy? Is it a freezer that is mostly full or a freezer that is empty? I'll give everyone a few seconds here to plug in. All right, 3 more seconds here. Okay, thanks everybody. Let's share this out. So we do have a little bit of a mix. So I know you'll be leaving here today with a little bit more information. Some are saying a freezer that is mostly full and others that is empty. So let's go on and give a little bit more detail around that because it is actually the freezer that is mostly full. So when it comes to your appliances, many newer options are more energy efficient these days and may automatically use less electricity, which certainly can help lower the carbon footprint. But regardless of which model you have, there are a few general tips to keep in mind. I'm going to start with the refrigerator and then we'll get back to that freezer in just a minute. When it comes to your refrigerator, it's recommended to keep the temperature at 41 degrees Fahrenheit or cooler, and that can help with preventing any food spoilage. It's also recommended to leave at least 4 inches between the back of the fridge and the wall. So this can allow heat from the appliance to flow more efficiently and flow away from it to help keep it cool. And we may all know that refrigerators can often collect dust. If you notice that there's a lot of dust on your fridge, you'll want to be sure to clear that away to help it run more efficiently. And leaving that extra space between the refrigerator and the wall can make it easier for that dust to flow through and maybe to another part of your kitchen, and makes it easier for us to reach back there and clean it along the way. Now, when it comes to the freezer, as we just saw, a well-stocked freezer can actually use less energy. Uh, the energy used for your freezer goes into keeping that air nice and cool. And when your freezer is full, there's less room for that warm air to come in when you open the door to get out what you need. So the items that you have in your freezer actually help keep the freezer cool, and less energy is needed to keep it that way. So this can be really good motivation to build in batch cooking into your meal prep routine. By planning ahead and cooking meals that you can have ready to go in your freezer, you'll be saving energy, and you'll have some really great meals to look forward to a few weeks and even months down the road. Now, if you don't typically keep much in your freezer in terms of food products, you can still rely on other options such as bags of ice to keep that freezer about 3/4 of the way full to help with that energy efficiency. And lastly, one thing some of us, including myself, may forget to do throughout the year is really find time to give that dishwasher, your refrigerator, and even your oven a nice deep clean every few months to help prevent clogs, remove any mold or burnt on food stains, to help your appliances work better for longer. We also have some key tips to keep in mind to go green with your cooking, your food storage, and preventing waste. When it comes to cooking methods, microwaving is one of the most energy efficient cooking methods and can actually use up to 80% less energy than conventional ovens. They're especially useful if you're heating up leftovers or small meals. They're also really great for really quickly cooking vegetables, so added reason to use them to make sure those veggies are getting onto your dinner plates. Other options, toaster ovens are great for smaller dishes rather than having to heat up a full-size oven. So perhaps if you're cooking for one or two, you could leverage the toaster a little bit more often. Other appliances that may be trendy and fun to work with, like Instant Pots, air fryers, and slow cookers, use significantly less energy, and again, can be fun to experiment with new recipes. Now, once you have done all that cooking, you'll want to look for some greener ways to store your leftovers. So here you can reach for reusable containers instead of aluminum foil, plastic wrap, Ziploc bags, and so on. And while it may feel like an investment from the start, this can also help you save money in the long run by not having to pick up those items throughout the months. On the other hand, you can also use some containers you might already have on hand, such as an empty pasta jar, pasta sauce jar, or mason jars. Those can serve as great food storage options as well. Now, when it comes to all of your leftovers, be sure to have a plan in place for using them up so that they don't go to waste. And preventing food waste really can have a large impact on the environment. So due to that, we actually have a separate webinar dedicated to this topic that we're offering in April in honor of Earth Month. So I'll be sure to share that information out with you after class today as well. All right, before moving on to recycling, a quick trivia question for you coming your way. How many aluminum cans end up in landfills each year? About 10 million, 1 billion, 30 million, or 30 billion? Go ahead and take a guess and we will see what the answer is. All right, going to share this out. So looks like we have one person who guessed correctly here. It is actually about 30 billion. The Keep America Beautiful campaign notes that that's about 1 billion pounds of aluminum in itself. And the energy that's wasted from that could power 1.5 million homes for a full year. So that is certainly motivation to make sure those cans are making it into your recycling bin. While you're likely quite familiar with the fact that recycling is good for the environment, there are a few tips and tricks to ensure that you're recycling correctly. A list of some of the most commonly recycled items is on the screen here, and it is recommended to check in with your local county or municipality to learn about the specific recycling options in your areas. I do want to highlight a few additional tips and reminders. The first is only to put items that can actually be recycled into your recycling bin. Other items might damage recycling equipment at the end of the line. So again, that's where checking in with your local county can be helpful to ensure you're putting only items that are permitted. Generally, plastic, metal, and glass food containers should be rinsed and cleaned free of any food debris before being recycled. So, really rinse those items well. Any stuck on food can actually cause any recyclables to be discarded and not follow that proper procedure. So be sure to clean out those yogurt and those peanut butter jars before you're tossing them in the bin. Keep in mind too that dark colored or black plastic containers often cannot be recycled. So you might pick them up from some takeout spots. Don't toss those into the recycling. You can put in the light colored tops in there, but often those dark colored ones cannot be recycled. And again, check with your local departments. And typically things like plastic wraps and bags should not go into your curbside recycling bin. So instead, take things like that to your local store for that specific bin to recycle bags. Again, while recycling might be common practice in your home, this might just be a quick refresher or some tips that have changed over the years or you might not have thought about recently to make sure your habits are actually making that impact. All right, so we just highlighted some of the basics for making a greener kitchen. Maybe you've identified some small steps or have been reminded of certain things that you can work back into your routine. To help put that together, I also wanted to share some meal ideas to make cooking side of things easy and tastier too. So if you've been inspired to try some more plant-based meals, whether that's going meatless or taking a little bit of a flexitarian approach, you could try these walnut lentil tacos that are cooked in the Instant Pot. We know tacos are often a family favorite, so this could be one way to work in some plant-based meals into your meal planning. And when you pick up that sustainable seafood, try this salmon and edamame rice bowl. This is actually made in the microwave in just about 15 minutes. And of course, with St. Patrick's Day tomorrow, we have a better for you shamrock smoothie. This has the option to use some plant-based ingredients and uses very little energy as you just blend it up quickly before enjoying. Lastly, I just wanted to share a quick snapshot of what to look forward to for our upcoming Setting the Trend Straight classes. Next week, we will be doing tips for your air fryer. So we'll come back with a little bit of a cooking demo and some tips and tricks to keep in mind to make the use out of that appliance. So I hope today leaves you with some reminders of those small steps to add into your routine and maybe a few new ideas that you can add to help your kitchen and your home go a little bit more green. Like with many goals, it's really about the progress, not perfection. So if you're someone who right now relies on those single serve yogurts to take with you on lunch, maybe you can swap that up and buy the larger container and portion it out into your own to-go containers. Maybe you refocus your skills on your recycling. Make sure everyone at home knows the rules around that so that your habits are getting to best use. And again, if you're interested in learning more about plant-based eating or preventing food waste, I'll have links to those classes so you can join us to learn a little bit more. So for now, I would love to open it up to any questions you may have and any comments, any additional tips you might have to share. It looks like we do have a little bit of chatter going on. So about not buying things in aluminum. To begin with, somebody uses the soda stream instead of individual cans of soda. So that's certainly a great tip there. I have a question here on whether it's true that washing fruits and vegetables with diluted vinegar extends their life in the refrigerator. That is a very good question. I would need to dig a little bit deeper on that. And in some cases, it also might depend what fruit or vegetable you're sticking in that refrigerator. Some produce is actually better if it's washed or rinsed right before you're enjoying it. I mentioned earlier with that warmer weather coming, berries are coming into season, and those are actually better washed right before you're enjoying it. The moisture from the water can cause foods like that to spoil a little bit faster, even if they're in the fridge. In terms of the diluted vinegar, let me jot that down and see if I can get you a best answer to send out in that class recap email. And if anybody else has tried that and found any luck, please let me know too, and I'd be happy to share that out. All right, doesn't look like any additional questions or comments here. If you do have anything else to share when I send out that class recap email, certainly feel free to email back, and we'd be happy to either get an answer to your question or set up time to chat further. All right, that looks like it's it for today. Thanks so much for joining, and hope to see some of you next week for our air fryer class. Have a great day.